Well, first of all, thank you very much for your time. I know you're always very, very busy.
Thank you. You're someone that I've come to know and admire over many years, and you are there for so many different communities, and that's why it's important that we have different communities be there for you as well, and your people.
So much. Yeah, really appreciate. I know. I remember you came for the almost the first part of the interfaith ceremony. For the Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Right. I remember your face. We are young on the same what do you call it? Policeman, same Upper West Side. So I thank you for that. From the beginning.
Okay, thank you.
So this is actually again the program for inviting some of the people who is in a peace work, and I know you're doing a lot of nonviolence and all those important part of the, especially Jewish community. You're very, very valuable. And sometimes I listen to your voice from the 1010 radio. So it's always pleasure to. He's always there. It's very nice. And so this is a program that. So I just basically casually wanted to ask some questions. It's not a lecture, but rather it's like a regular way.
Let's have a conversation.
Yeah, let's have a conversation with that. And so first of all, I just wanted to first introduce, if you don't mind, introduce yourself. But then maybe the way is. What about some of the incident is very important, like a 3 incident in your life that makes you to do this and that, and so that might be kind of interesting way to introduce, if you don't mind.
I am Rabbi Joseph Potasnik, Executive Vice President of the New York Board of Rabbis.
TK.
Yep.
My background may be different than others. I'm a child of Holocaust survivors. My parents lost 5 children during that horrific period. So I grew up in a home where I learned about the tragedy of young people losing their lives. And I think that sensitized me to the necessity of creating a different world. We can't go back to that world of the past. We don't want to go back to the past.
That's true.
But we have to learn from the past. So when I talk about my family, I grew up in a home where there were 5 pictures of 5 children who never made it. And I always felt that I had a responsibility to those 5 to perpetuate, keep alive their memory. And the best way to keep alive their memory was to help create a world where we wouldn't know about a Holocaust, where we wouldn't know about Nagasaki and Hiroshima, where we would know about the extinction of people. That's not the world we want to give to young people today.
I see. That's where your energy and everything come from then. That's a great...
Yes, yes it does. Because, remember, Elie Wiesel, who was a great teacher, he was called the conscience of the world at one point. He said the tragedy of the Holocaust was that you could get away with it. That you could kill so many people and get away with it. That speaks so poorly about the apathy, the indifference of people who should have made a difference. Some people don't do very much. They say, what can I do? And some people do so much more and say, well, what else can I do? So I think we have to teach our kids to say, what else can I do? And what else is that we have to see to it that the kind of horrors of the past will not become part of the present.
Right. Okay. So you can just go overcome that way too. Probably some of the tragedy, but more like turning the different meaning with it.
Yeah, and I tell you that when I talk about peace and Haiwa and peace and shalom, it's not just not having war. I mean, that's a good beginning, but it doesn't get you to the desired place where you need to be. So you and I and so many others have worked together to understand the other. Because only when we listen and learn from one another can we find that sacred space where we can have the conversations about difference. It's very easy to be in the same room, to be in the same Zoom with those who are just like you. But to be there with people who are different, who think differently, who look differently, who pray differently, to be there in that environment, that really tests your respect for the other person. Not tolerance. Tolerance is a minimum thing. You're tolerant means you put up with someone, but respect. And by the way, the word respect comes from the Latin respectare, which means to look again. And maybe that reminds us that when you see someone who's different, look again and see if you can find some commonality.
Right. Yeah.
And also learn from the difference.
That's very interesting. Yeah. So because for me, it's also like one of the things is we are all ordinary people. I mean, that's for me, it's very important to be ordinary. So which means I make mistake, but also sometimes I do good things too. So it's like the same way everybody else. So that's why I have
TK, when God created the world, it said that he wasn't sure he did the right thing. And even God questioned, his work. So all of us, we all make mistakes. Someone said you get good judgment from bad judgment. When you make the mistakes, that's how you learn to do better. The word perfect means finished. Latin meaning of perfect is finished. No one is ever finished. There's always more to do. There's always more to learn. So the more we can, embrace difference, the more we can learn, about each other's traditions, cultures, the better the world will be. I wish there was a place. I always felt I wish there was like a museum of tolerance. Called Museum of Respect, where we could walk in and I could learn about your people, and you could learn about my people. We could learn about all the different kinds of people, and we could see the tragedies of the past, but the triumphs as well of the present. That would be a great moment, especially for young people, because very often we live in neighborhoods where people are very much like us. We go to schools where very much like us, but we have to get out of that comfort zone and spend some time talking about how we are different, and the fact that we are different means that we have a responsibility to understand more about one another.
Right. Because the difference means really learning something out of it, I guess. So that's what's. But then
one of the things that you learn in Jewish tradition is the beauty of questioning. If you look at Jewish tradition, the Talmud, the books of explaining the Torah, it's all filled with questions. Why this? Why do we do that? I mean, it's like young people always ask why.
Yeah,
we have to be prepared. We have to be prepared to ask each other, why do you think this way? Why do you practice this way? When we can have that kind of candid conversation and comfortable conversation, then I think we're in a much better place. But we can't get to comfort without discomfort. Right? It's challenging to get beyond, that very shy or reserved place and say, let's be open with one another. Let's talk candidly and honestly to one another.
Because it is the same way, like a Buddhist text is always questioning. Because without the question, there's nothing. I mean, because for my kind of stereotype is like, just like God is this way, so it has to be this and that. But
TK, as I'm talking with you, I think of the following. When I first became a rabbi, and I would go to interfaith meetings. So there was a Jew, there was a Catholic, and there was a Protestant. And that was it. There was no Buddhist. There was no Hindu. There was no Mormon. And what did we learn over the years? That we have to make the table bigger so there's room for others to sit there. And now when we have a program, you're included, members of other communities, but that wasn't the way it was years ago. We were very limited. We were very called parochial. We only looked this way. We didn't look to the right, didn't look to the left. But the more we opened our eyes, the more we recognized there are some great people out there with great traditions, with great histories. Let's sit down and talk to them at one table, not separate rooms. One room where we can face each other.
Yeah, that's true. So that's good. So that's one of the incident. I mean, introducing yourself now. But is there any other important events that you experienced in your life?
My son happens to be a very good basketball player.
Oh, okay.
And I can tell you this, he doesn't really see difference. When he plays ball, he's got a friend who's Muslim, a friend who's African-American Christian. He doesn't care. And I see these young kids walking down the street. Very often they're holding a rope, so they all walk together from some school program. And I'm convinced at that young age, they don't see difference. They see another child. They see another person, another ball player on the same team. We learn to dislike at a much later age.
I believe so.
I think we can learn from the kids. They could teach us. So I think we are trying to recreate that earlier experience where we walked together, and I don't think you look different. I don't think you sound different. That doesn't matter. That should not be, one of the concerns I have. Rather, I see you as a child of God. Imperfect as I am. But yet together, we can find a better place. There's a wonderful story of someone who was lost in the woods. And he didn't know where to go. And then he met somebody else. And he said, gee, are you lost too? He says, yes. He says, but I can tell you what I can do for you. And we can do together. I know which way not to go. I know where I got lost. You know where you got lost. Let's not go on that path. Let's find a different path. So, again, on this anniversary, when we look back, we don't want to see this kind of tragedy ever again. We don't want to see a Holocaust ever again. So the more we learn about one another, the better it will be in preventing anything like this ever happening to any people, anywhere.
That's, I think, very important for me. Never again to fool or for,
Right, never again, right. We used to say that after the Holocaust, but Buddhists say that never again.
No more Hiroshima type of things, but
but unfortunately, we still live in a world, you look at, what's happening in China, the Uyghurs, and I can go around the world and still pick places where people are being oppressed. So we said never again, but unfortunately we're still at the place of again. So we have to keep removing again and again. We have to remove the again, make sure the never goes with it.
So it's like really continuation become a kind of a way to bring the peace always. Need a little patience.
There's a sign I saw, TK, that said, how are you going to clean up the world if you don't clean up your room? We got to clean up. Each one of us will focus on where we are. Clean up this one area, and we all do that together, then more and more space for more people to live together.
That's good. So the cleanup is very important because here in this country also we don't make the children to clean their own room or even
first you got to clean your room.
Or even
you want to clean the world, start with your room. Start with where you live. Start with your neighborhood. And make that a place that that is filled with openness and respect for one another.
Right, because by clean up you clean your mind as well. Clean your mouth,
clean your mind.
The way to speak or whatever things also.
Right. When we travel in New York on a train, for example, I see people who just look straight ahead. They don't look to the right, they don't look to the left, just straight, and then they get off at their stop. But there are people sitting all around them, but they never engage in conversation. Everybody is so connected to their own particular small world that they don't bother to find out more about those around them. So we have to learn to change that behavior.
Maybe you say hello to your neighbor.
Hello to your neighbor. Interesting, the Bible says love your neighbor. It doesn't say love your Jewish neighbor, your Buddhist neighbor, your Christian. Love your neighbor, whoever that neighbor may be. It doesn't matter, right? But it doesn't, it's easy to love humanity. Very easy to love the world. I love the world. It means nothing. But do I love the person next door? Do I love my neighbor? That's the test.
It's a good challenge and also,
Right.
So, that's a great, so the basketball makes also something.
It's the individual experience. And one leads to another. You meet people who are different. I meet you. So I say to myself, well, I know one Buddhist, let me meet more Buddhists. I meet one Hindu, let me meet more Hindu. Right? Because I want to learn more and more now. Definitely. And then you invite me to come pray or to be in your house of worship. I invite you to be in a synagogue or go to a church. I've been to many houses of worship, and I always find beauty in different traditions. I may not understand everything going on, but I can appreciate. This is sacred. This is of great meaning to these people, and the fact that I was invited, I was included, that's a moment that I want to appreciate.
Because I guess the differences sometimes could be used as I'm different from them, but at the same time, each one is different, so we're learning each other, and then it becomes a togetherness too. So it's a big difference in how you do it.
That's why you try to open a door as widely as possible to let many people in, not just not just to exclude people who may be different.
Right, because
we have to learn to live with difference.
Yeah, even for me, the interface itself is a step for peace, because we have opened the kind of little dialogue and conversation.
TK, you know what we learned? That the adversary of yesterday can become the ally of today. Look at Germany and Israel today are friends. Japan, America are friends. So the fact that we had conflict in the past doesn't mean that we have to have conflict in the present. People are capable of changing, right? That's one of the qualities of being human, that who you are today, you can be different, a little bit different tomorrow. Someone once said that one of the most important people he knows is the tailor. Because every time he goes to his tailor, he measures him, how much here, how much there. Because he realized he changed since the last time he came in. So all of us have changed, hopefully for the better. And if everybody will think of change as a positive thing, then I think we'll be in a better place.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Myself is getting changed too, in a way. Getting a little old too.
Well, the fact that we're having this conversation. And again, when I first started as a rabbi, we didn't have conversations with Buddhists. We didn't have conversations with Mormons or Hindus or Sikhs or people who are different. But now, when you go, you look around and you say how beautiful this is, that people so different are also connected. One of the things that's happened because of technology,
I think
with Zoom, is that we can be socially distant, but we can be spiritually connected. I can talk to you no matter where you are. You can talk to me no matter where I am, and that's a great blessing. That's a great blessing.
So
technology can bring us together.
This is enjoyable too, because I start interview some people, and then so I never really know those incidents that you have, whatever happened in your life, and then so that create the importance of the values and all those things. So which is actually very interesting to hear from the other people as well. Do you have a third one? I said, if you have the three incident or anything, but if not, it's okay, of course.
Well, I think one of the things you learn in life, especially when you have children, is you always have to have a plan B, because plan A very often doesn't work out. You have certain plans, they don't work out, you have to go to plan B. I think 9/11, by the way, what happened on September 11th was a defining moment, because the terrorists who destroyed the buildings and killed people, they didn't care what kind of people were in the building. They didn't ask, are there Jews in there, are there Buddhists in there? They just wanted to kill human beings. And therefore, we all have that inner, we're all created in the image of God, that divine spark. And I think when we see the horror, we realize, you know what? We have the same spiritual birth certificate. We're all children of Adam and Eve. And I think that has to be something that is inculcated over and over again, that you and I may seem different from one another, we're also the same. You are my spiritual brother. You and I, have common moral foundation. We build on that.
Cool. So for the Buddhists, we see that everybody has a Buddha nature. So everybody has a potential to become enlightened, basically. But then potential means, sometimes there's a seed does not grow. So then they don't do the way that it could be.
TK, it's interesting. If you look at the Bible, after every day of creation, God says it was good. Right? At first day, God saw it was good. Second day, when God created humans, it doesn't say it was good, because humans are a question mark. You have potential. We don't know what the person is going to do, right? We can only measure that later on. So I think that you're right. We all have that potential, and hopefully we realize it by learning and listening to one another.
So that's good. So I just wanted to ask you, since this is the 75th anniversary that I just, on this occasion, so maybe if you have any thoughts on this, because, you have some experience with the Holocaust parts of it.
Yeah, but I have to say this, and I think one of the things we do wrong is I don't want to measure my tragedy against your tragedy. My tragedy was very tragic for my people.
Right.
Your tragedy was tragic for your people. And I don't think we should be in this measuring of whose tragedy, whose pain was worse. Because, when you're visiting someone in a hospital, that person is sick, you can say, well, I had more pain years ago. The person doesn't want to hear that. Right now, that person is in pain, and recognize what the person is experiencing and try to be empathetic, try to be supportive.
Sure.
So on this 75th anniversary, Nagasaki and Hiroshima, great tragedies. A chapter I was reading, over 200,000 people killed, right? And each person was connected to another person, to a family. So when you kill 200,000, you kill a lot more. But I think it's a time to reflect upon the tragedy that happened to your people. And if we would only do that and learn more about different tragedies, we realize, all of us who've experienced pain need to find the strength to look at what happened and say, how can I prevent the pain from happening to you? How can you prevent the pain from happening to me? There's an interesting saying in religious tradition that the eyes are composed of two parts, the light and the dark, but you only see out of the dark, right? And only from the dark do you see. So I would hope on this anniversary, as you look back at the darkness of the bombing, that we find light and love in where we are today after what we have experienced yesterday.
I see. Yeah, thank you so much.
All right.
Yeah, that's a good statement to sort of finish with this too. So thank you so much for your time. And
thank you. And you know what, TK, you're a great treasure. Your friendship is a treasure. And I look forward to sharing many more moments with you and celebrating. Really. There's a time for sadness, but there's a time for sweetness. And let's hope the next time we talk, there'll be a great moment of happiness.
Right. I wish I have a little more understanding in English for your joke, because you have a great joke, always great. But I don't get some of the parts, unfortunately.
Life is difficult enough, so if you can bring some humor into the room, that helps.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you again. Take care. And appreciate it very much.
Hiwa.
Thank you. Shalom.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.